Sheeran is going to read. We're going to just randomly pull the questions in from the audience. And even though he didn't spend 3 years in the third grade like I did, he only got one, but he still does pretty good on reading the big words. So look forward to this.
Okay, the first question from the audience is who gets it first? Joe. Okay, Joe. The question is, will you hold true to your promises to your constituents without selling out to the other side or the rhinos?
Well, I certainly will. I am a small government conservative, and that's where I come from. That's what I've always been. So yes, I would hold true to my principles.
Yeah, I think integrity is the most important thing that anybody can carry throughout their life, and I will certainly uphold my promises.
I have a legislative track record already to where I have upheld my principles. Second Amendment's important. Election integrity is important. At the federal level, the border is important. Those are my principles. Those are national security. That's what I know. That's what I've done my entire adult life. I will seek out the Freedom Caucus. I'm not sure the Freedom Caucus is what it once was, but I can tell you, when I was in the State House, I was one of 7 conservatives of the 24 Republicans in that 73rd General Assembly. We looked at being part of the Freedom Caucus, and in the end, they decided, not yet, you guys are running for office. And by you guys, it was me running for U.S. Senate and Dave Williams. And a few others were turned out, so they decided not to do it. But at the state or at the federal level, I will seek out the Freedom Caucus, and we will immediately coalesce so that we fight for America's principles, for conservative principles, not for party or establishment or for power or for lobbyist approval. I'm not looking for endorsements in this race. I'll be my own man. I have been, and I have proven it in my military career and in my legislative career. Thank you.
One of the things that's very important for me is that I'm not for sale. I believe in representing the people and representing them with integrity. And I have a proven track record as your State Board of Education leader for Congressional District 3. I have fought for parental rights, parental choice. I have fought for everything that I believed in. No matter what it was, I never turned away from it. And I think it's so important that we look at our current system. Sometimes it's almost like you change one establishment for another establishment. We call each other, we buy into the Democrat council culture of calling each other rhinos, dinos, far left, far right. We are Americans. We have to get back to fighting for our country. We have to stop calling each other names. Because what ends up happening, the first thing a politician does is runs against the establishment, and the first thing we watch them do is become the establishment. We have to make sure that that does not happen in Congressional District 3. I have been proven to fight for us. I'm the only position in Colorado that is an elected State Board of Ed member. We do not get paid. We are free, and we give our service to our community. It is about community service, and I will bring service back to this position to where I work for you guys.
Folks, I read 6 newspapers a day, and one of them is not the Washington Post. More than the New York Times, for that. It was 3 weeks ago tonight, out of the blue, Lauren Dover gave me a phone call. Sorry, fellas. She said that I was her favorite. Lauren and I have pretty much identical policies. I have signed a 6-year pledge. In other words, if I win the election, I won't serve more than 6 years. I'll be 73 years old at that point. If I can't get done what I want to get done in 6 years, I need to go back. I've also signed Grover Norquist's anti-tax pledge, and I'm telling you, I'm not going to renege on that either. So, was that the question? That was a long time ago.
You're right on point.
Okay. Anyway, so, and another thing, my buddy Perry Hill says he'll never vote to do anything that harms the Western Slope. Well, I'll never vote for anything that doesn't help the Western Slope. So,
Okay, the next question, and this goes to Curtis first. How long have you lived in CD3?
21 years. And so my wife and I came here to raise our family here. We have two adult daughters. It's interesting, Russ, you were talking about your daughters a while ago and the whole reloading the gun thing. My daughters were both home Thanksgiving, and I said, okay guys, we've got the afternoon, what do you want to do? And they said, we want to shoot guns, Dad. And I thought, my daughters, well raised, and so I'll speak also a little bit about the last question. You know, Warren Buffett said that it takes 20 years to build a reputation, and it takes 5 minutes to lose it. I've been a small businessman all my life. I've run a construction company, a real estate development company, and a real estate brokerage. I've helped my wife run a medical practice, and I can tell you that those words are so true to me. I think that we have got to be men of courage. I think we have to be men of our word. I think living for something greater than yourself helps to do that. I also want to just put a plug in for a book. There's a book that I read recently by Thomas Sewell. It's called The Social Justice Fallacies. I think everybody should read it, Republican and Democrat. It's an incredible book, and he talks about the fatherless family. And I think that we have got to recognize one of the greatest problems we have in this country is that we've lost the heart of the family. Thank you.
My time in CD3 is less. Lauren Boebert switched districts on a Wednesday like the 29th of December of 2023. I started getting calls saying, Hanks, we have got to keep that seat when Donald Trump runs and wins the presidency. So I thought about it. They said, you better hurry. We have got to get moving on this. And so I changed my residency here to Grand Junction, to Mesa, at the beginning of the year. My background now is I retired from the military at the end of 2017. I bought in Colorado in 2007. I expected to spend my days driving a new dirt road every year. I'm originally from Washington State and Idaho. My dad was in the timber industry, and then he was in the nuclear industry. People my age or older will probably know and say, wow, he really knew how to pick industries, because Jimmy Carter ruined all of them, and with the Department of Interior and the Department of Energy. So I've lived in the West. I wanted to see the American West from Colorado. When I served in HD 60, I overlapped with Lauren Boebert in Custer County, and that's right over the border from where I'm at. And we had lots of discussions on it. My time running for Senate, I won CD3, so I am aware of the issues and I am ready to serve. Thank you.
So I almost want to call my wife because I'm not good at math. No, just kidding. So I started off in Otero County, and then I moved over to Pueblo, so I think it's been over 14 years. And I don't know, I couldn't do your math for you. How long was that? It was 2, 3 months, a month, week, 2 weeks?
Well, let's get into it.
But no, I gotta tell you, one of the most important things is living in this district means so much, and it's so diverse. And one of the things we forget is the diversity of this district and how important it is. We have over 240,000 veterans that live in this district, and right now they need to be served. And the way we can do that is by putting people in the office that will represent them. We have an industry that we lost, oil and gas. We need to fight to bring that back. We need to start fighting to bring everything that made us great again back to this country, back to this district. And that's what's more important. Not how long have we lived here, but how hard are we going to fight for industry? Right now in Pueblo County, they have a steel mill that they're losing. Every day, job after job after job goes away. Our communities are being robbed of prosperity, economic development, and community reinvestment by the Biden administration every time we wake up. We have to start fighting for Congressional District 3, not worrying about how long anybody's lived in Congressional District 3. That is the most important thing right now, is we got to fight for this community. Thank you.
That day, I've lived on the western slope of CD3 for about as many years as Ron has days here. So, moving to western Colorado is simply one of the 2 or 3 best things I've ever done in my life. Obviously, marrying my wife, Lori. Stand up, Lori, would you? Okay. Anyway, I love our nation, I love our state, and I'm passionate about the western slope in this district. So that's my deal. Also with my kids, we live in one of the most beautiful places on the planet. In the Roaring Fork Valley where I live, I mean, it's spectacular. And I think one of the first things I think about when moving here, one of the primary reasons was so I could hunt. I'm a big elk hunter and deer hunter. Where I came from back in Pennsylvania, we literally were hunting deer in people's backyards. And now we take horses up and go where nobody else is. So I love this. I love the Western Slope, and I will vote only to improve things here in this district. This district is very impoverished. Maybe not here in Grand Junction or in Aspen. I'll tell you what, when you travel around, we need a lot of help.
Well, I've been in Colorado on and off for approximately 20 years. I followed my daughter here. She came to Colorado because of Katrina. She graduated in 2005 Loyola Law School. And of course, you guys all know what happened to New Orleans at that time. She had her life and her future set up. Well, that all went underwater, so some of her attorney friends wound up in Colorado, called her up and said, hey, it's great out here. So she joined them. I joined her on and off for a while, and then officially 8 years ago, I retired to Colorado so I could join my, at that point, 13-month-old grandbaby. So we've been here, we've been in the Roaring Fork Valley. My daughter actually ran the elections for Pitkin County back in 2020. Then after that, she got a job offer here in Mesa County as a deputy district attorney. She decided to come out here. Well, she got her place in Basalt, so my wife bought our place in Fruta, so that we officially retired to Fruta. So kind of we're in Basalt and Fruta. I do love both areas, completely different. I do love Colorado, and I'm glad to call it my home.
Okay, next card, and this will go to Ron Hanks. Please talk about holiday, election day. No more mail-in ballots in Colorado.
Are you saying have an election holiday, make it a holiday? And part 2, I'm sorry, what was part 2?
Part 2 is no more mail-in ballots in Colorado.
Oh, well, that's an easy one. I'm going to do that one first. I've already put in legislation on this. It should be same-day voting with a photo ID, not a utility bill. We should clean the voter rolls and start from zero, remove ourselves from Eric and score. We should have paper ballots. I believe they should have watermarks. And guess what? This was my legislation that I put through in 2021. It went to a Democrat-controlled state House, and all the committees were 7-4, Democrat versus Republican, even 8-3. Didn't clear committee, but that's what I stand for. And I'll tell you, I've been a conservative my whole life. I will fight for that until the end. If people don't want to vote for that, I am perfectly happy getting back to the things that need to get done, which are getting ready for the 9/11 moment and the civil war that this miserable, unelected, demented resident in the White House has set us up for. So regarding the holiday, let's discuss it, not a big deal. Stephen, I'm gonna stab you back. You know, you talk about my time in CD3, you've been a Republican a real short period of time, appointed to your office. So it's not really an election that got you there. So let's talk about that at some point, or stab me now.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Just like Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump, Lauren Boebert, Cory Gardner, they all used to be Democrats. So hey, I'll enjoy it. That's fine. Unless you're spewing fake news or an agent of the Democrats. So one of the things that's so important that we need to really focus on. I lived in Pueblo County. We had one of the most corrupt clerk and recorders in the state of Colorado. Jenna Griswold called him the gold standard. He trained Jenna Griswold. And guess what? This is before Dominion. There was a big cheat. This was going on. I think we can all agree in this room right now that we need to change the rules to make sure that elections are safe and fair. Because there's not a lot, the spectrum of election integrity is so large, we have to find in every county what is going on. And it is important, if we're going to get back to the paper ballots, we need to make sure that it's secure and safe. If we're going to stay with Dominion, we need to figure out what the heck's going on. Because let me tell you something, that system is corrupt. They are stealing elections from it, and we need to be aware of it. And I'll tell you something wrong for that inside on the Republican thing. But it's time that we really do fight for this. And it is so important if we're going to win elections, because I'm a Vince Lombardi Republican. If winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. And if we're not winning, we're not changing anything. So we got to fight.
Yeah, same day elections, like Ron said, again, paper ballots, hand counts, voting machines. I do believe that election day should be a holiday. And I also believe the day after the Super Bowl should be a holiday. Also want to wish good luck to Tina Peters while we're talking about elections. She's in for a tough battle, I hear, but she's innocent until proven guilty. Thank God we live here in America. And I wish her all the best.
Yeah, I think election day, let's see. Sorry I'm having so much problems with these microphones, but I do think, yeah, it would be great if election day were a holiday. That would give us the opportunity to get all of us to get out there and vote. And as far as mail-in ballots, that does seem to, there's the potential for problems there, but of course we all get mail-in ballots, so obviously that's the way I have voted since I've been in Colorado, because the ballot arrives there. I guess there's the potential for corruption there, so I would say, yes, let's eliminate the mail-in ballots and let's go to the polls and vote there in person.
Our founding fathers wanted a government that was limited. And one of the things that they also wanted was they wanted the power of the federal government shared with the people. And our elections are how that's shared. And so I think a nation that doesn't have a safe, fair, honest, accountable election system is no government at all. Whether or not we make it a holiday, I don't know that I don't have an opinion on that, but I think it's paramount that our elections are something that we can trust. I've never been a Democrat. I've been a registered Republican for 43 years, and my first election was voting for Ronald Reagan. My second election was voting for Ronald Reagan. and I enjoyed watching him govern for 8 years.
And this will be the second to last question. This one goes to Stephen. Do you consider yourself a MAGA America First candidate?
Yes, and I was saying that earlier. We need to bring jobs. We need to put everything back in America. We need to put America first. We need to bring industry here. We need to focus on our country. We need to grow our industry. We need to start talking about America like it's the most important thing again. We need to start putting us in the number one seat.
In 1916-ish, the Democrats, they co-opted the word liberal. We are the original liberals, so I call them neoliberals. We advocate for smaller government, light regulatory touch, lower taxes. So yeah, I am a MAGA Republican. Again, I will never vote to raise taxes. I will only vote to lower taxes. And I believe that, again, we need to cut a series of regulations. So yes, I am a Make America Great Again. Let's take America back candidate.
Well, yes, I certainly am an America First Republican, but my America has always been great to me. As a kid, I was a migrant farm worker. I traveled from Texas to Michigan, wound up staying in Michigan, and I have no issues with that. Being a migrant farm worker, I was out there working with Dad and my brothers and sisters. We worked every day. We were close. We made good money as migrant farm workers. So as far as America First, yes, I love this country. I love America. Speaking for my ancestors, we were here and we love this country before it was even called America. So I am definitely America First.
I would say yes. I think that what we've done to ship our jobs overseas is horrible. I think that we need to work to get that back, especially the technology industry that has left this land. I think that has to be corrected. I also think that part of America being great and being first is being a great ally. I think we need to be great partners to the people that we ally with. And so I think that there's more to it than just our own economy. Although I think our economy is very, very important, I think that we have to be the people that set the standard in the world for what it looks like to be great. I don't know what you think of this question.
I've been a citizen soldier since 1984. I was a citizen legislator in the State House in 2020 and up to 2023. I have been pro-Trump, pro-America, America First, and MAGA ever since Trump came on the scene and was running against Hillary Clinton. I went to January 6th out to DC. I was a newly elected representative, hadn't been sworn in yet. I went there because something told me it needed to happen. And I went there for the peaceful protest that Donald Trump called for. Thank you. I have fought for election integrity because without elections, I think we're secure and honest elections that people trust. We run the risk of civil war, and I frankly think we are being pushed to that right now. I fully believe Donald Trump won in 2020. I do believe he will win in 2024 because Joe Biden is so abysmally awful that even the Truman Democrats are starting to come out of the woodwork. Now, I do have a concern. I'm going to get a red flag here. Joe Biden may not be the candidate. We have to stay on point. We have to get ready for a real legislative battle. Thank you.
Okay, this will be the last question for the evening.
Lucky me.
Okay. So the question is, how can we be assured that you will fulfill your campaign promises and not flop once you're elected, and not flip once you're elected? Candidates saying what we want to hear but don't always mean it.
Yeah, great question. I wore wingtip shoes in 8th grade. I've been a conservative my whole life. I took a lot of crap for that, by the way. I'm not going to flip. I told you I read 6 newspapers a day, and 2 of them are not the New York Times or the Washington Post. I think so many people get to Congress. First off, they don't really know why they're going. I think many people go to Congress because they think it's a decent paycheck and it provides some measure of power. I don't really care about any of that. I'm going to Congress because I have 27 or 28 planks now in my platform that are designed to help the Western Slope. And I don't care what they write about me in the Washington Post or the New York Times. I couldn't care less. Again, I've had a radio talk show for 15 years in Aspen, Colorado. Many of those people absolutely hate me, and it's like this to me. I couldn't care less. I will not flip. I wouldn't even consider it. Again, I'm only going to be there for 6 years. I want to get my legislative agenda passed in 6 years, and then I'm gone. So thank you.
Well, one of my reasons for getting involved in politics was my concern with ethics and integrity. And if that's my concern, I would hopefully maintain my own ethics and integrity, where if I say I'm going to do something or this is what I believe, well, I would certainly expect to stick with that. So I'm not going to be flippant on my personal beliefs, and I know we'll have disagreements, but let's see if we can work those out.
Abraham Lincoln said that anyone can anyone can persevere adversity. But if you want to measure the character of a man, give him power. And I think that's so true. I think that what this job requires is humility. I think that what this job requires is service. I can tell you that running a construction company, I started my day making sure that everybody who was going to interact with one of my job sites had what they had to be successful that day. I was the morning grunt. I went out and made sure that everything was there, and at the end of the day, I was the last one to leave, and I was probably sweeping the floor. And I think that's the kind of heart that we have to hire, not just in CD3, but in every district in this country. Because I think if we don't hire people with a servant's heart who understand that's the job, then we're going to continue to get the same thing that we have. And who was the guy who said, Einstein? That insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different outcome. So let's not be insane, shall we?
I put together a new palm card for this race that I didn't expect to be in. When you look at my Senate palm cards, they're the same positions. They're the same positions I fought for at the state legislature. I don't accept endorsements from politicians that are from outside of the state. Can you imagine? Right now, we have Mike Johnson, our Speaker of the House, has weighed in on CD8. Now, I'm holding out a little bit of hope for Mike Johnson here, but why? Why would you get involved in Colorado's politics this early? It's wrong. The only endorsement I'll take is from Donald Trump. You know, these lobby groups, RMGO, NRA, they really aren't all that important to me. I put my legislation in for Second Amendment security, repealing the magazine capacity limit without any help from them. I mean, couldn't get NRA to testify on RMGO's Taylor Rhodes showed up, so great, but I didn't do it in concert with them. I'm my own man, I always have been. The reason I'm in this race is because the country that I enlisted for straight out of high school is not the same country, not the same government that we have. I used to trust our government. Now I fear it greatly, and I am not going to succumb to anything that I see as the evil that they are imposing on us. Thank you.
One of the most important things for me is to serve with integrity, loyalty, duty, honor, and respect for my constituents. There's only one endorsement that I would take, and that would be yours, the people. Because we got to give it back to the people. Because there is only one person that we should be accountable to, and that's you guys. When we fear government, we have tyranny. When government fears us, we have liberty. And we have to fight for that again, and we're losing it every single day. Like Ron said, this country that I joined, when I went to FOD, I was going to college, I was sitting around enjoying my life, and then everything was going on, and I dropped out of college and joined the military because I believed in it. But that military, that country that I fought for, I feel like we're losing it. I have 4 kids. My son wants to join the military like I do. And I look at him and I want him to join it because I take pride in it. But I feel that we're losing our country under this current administration. Because we're losing who we work for. Anybody that gets in an elected position is forgetting that we work for you guys. Every 2 and 6 years is your evaluation of us. How good of a job are we doing? I don't care about anybody else endorsing me but you guys, the district. And we have to get back to that. That is why we are losing our liberty. That is why we are losing our communities. That is why we have people that are homeless. That is why we have lawlessness. We have a government right now that is changing the rules to where police officers are afraid to police our country. We have to start getting back to where you guys own us. Thank you.
Thank you. So I know that you're all disappointed and like to go another hour, but that ends our questions. So we're going to end up going to closing statements. And to make this more challenging, we're going to try to go counterclockwise, kind of turn back the time and get it back to the way it used to be. But we're going to start with you, Ron.
Wait, how many minutes?
3 minutes.
Well, thank you for your interest in this forum and in our candidacies. All I can say is, again, this is national security to me. This isn't career. This, and I will say that too. The most I can see myself doing this is 6 years, and here's how I came to that. Donald Trump will be our next president, barring some serious situations. He's going to need a conservative Congress. I will be a conservative vote that gets him a speaker that does not sandbag him like Paul Ryan did in the first 2 years of Trump's first term. He will need help in his the third and fourth year. And then I believe we will need some continuity of government for the transition. There will be a new president from whichever party. And after that, I want to come home. I want to see the beauty of this nation. DC does not draw me. Think about what we win if we win this race. We win the right to go listen to AOC talk incessantly. And that's kind of a downer when you think about it. I want to do my duty. This is an extension of military service. This country is not what I remember. It is not what I joined up for. It is weaponized against the people. And it is, in many ways, it is a police state. I think Dinesh D'Souza has it right. And we need to not coalesce and kumbaya with people who have been associated with bringing us into socialistic tyranny. So that's why I'm doing this. If you look at, please go to the website, hanksforcolorado.com. Look at my border report. I've got a letter out in the lobby that I wrote to Joe Biden on September 11th, 2021. Everything I say there is what I believe now. I've spilled it to you. I'm just here to do a job. I've been called by people who are in the fight right now. How can I say no to that? It's desertion of duty. I think we have, this is our last shot. That cliche, this is the most important election of our lifetime, that's out the window. And this is our last election, in my opinion. We've got to get it right. That's why I'm running. If we win it, we have to help Trump turn back this time. Thank you very much.
I also want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for having me. Outside on the table is some yard signs and some calling cards, and they have my website on the back of them and my email address. I would love to hear from you. I would also love to be invited to do this more often. I think the only way that you can make a sound decision is to be able to sit before the people that you're hiring and have this kind of interaction. So thank you for being here. Thank you for having me. You know, the organization that puts this on is called Stand for the Constitution. And unfortunately, in this country, we don't teach our children civics anymore. We don't teach our children what it means to have a constitution and to understand that this constitution that we have has guiding authority. Think about the men who wrote our Constitution. They had just fought a bloody war with England, and praise God, they won. They knew that whoever they gave power to had to be limited. It had to have accountability attached to it. James Madison wrote in Federalist Paper number 10. He said, enlightened statesmen won't always be at the helm. You think he got that one right? I mean, our founding fathers were brilliant men. And I do a lot of the reading. I've read a lot of what they wrote, and I thought they were like farmers and blacksmiths, and they were all of those things, but they were really deep thinkers. And I think we don't think deep enough anymore. And part of it is because we don't teach our children that. I also want to say that I think that parenting is one of the key issues in this country that has to change. I think one of the guys up here alluded to that earlier. We have got to raise young men who are testosterone-full males. I think that we have feminized our men, and I think that as parents we have to recognize that our job is to love our kids, discipline our kids. I know I say this to my wife often. You gotta love them well, beat them often, whether they need it or not. And by the grace of God, we wound up with wonderful children, and they drew a long straw when it came to mothers. And so I'm going to give her credit for that part. But I think that the parenting that we have in this country falls short a lot of times, and I think part of it is because, as I alluded before, we have a lot of fatherless homes, and I think we've got to find a way to stay together. We've got to find a way to come back together and be a nation that loves its kids and teaches them well. Thank you.
Now, earlier I did mention that as a kid I was a migrant farm worker. Well, that's because Dad got an injury and he'd been a migrant worker in the 40s and did quite well. So, because of that injury, well, he decided we'd see what we could do, and obviously we did pretty good. So a little on my background, yes, I was a migrant farm worker, but that wasn't my lot in life forever, and that's something that Dad, the wisest man I ever knew, instilled in us. So I am making the sacrifice to be here. Right now, this week and next, my wife, daughter, and grandchild, they're in New Orleans right now, in case y'all don't know. It's Mardi Gras. So I'm not there on vacation with them. Then they're going to be in Dallas for a week, so that's why they couldn't join me. little background on me. My wife, Ada, and I'd love to have her here to introduce her, but we've been married for 50 years. We were 17 and 19 when we got married. Couple of kids. We both have college degrees. We both graduated Dallas College. Then I attended SMU Cox School of Business. Then in my late 30s, I wanted to learn more. And also I was homeschooling my son and adding more of an education to my daughter, our attorney. So she was also getting homeschooled in addition to going to Personal Academy. So I'm just giving you some of my background as a migrant farm worker. My wife has her master's from the University of Texas. My daughter graduated University of Texas and then went on to Loyola Law School. So I'm very proud of them. I did start from humble backgrounds. So I'm glad to be up here, and I wanted to meet the candidates. And I think we've got excellent candidates here. So, now I'm working to get up to their level. I have a lot to learn. I'm learning from them. I'll learn from you. For me, it's important to be here to find out what's important to my community, to find out which direction these candidates are going, whether I agree with them or not, and find my own direction. So there are a few more candidates, so you guys have a lot of selecting to do, but I think we're fortunate from what I've seen today. We do have some excellent candidates. So, thank you for having me here.
Well, first off, thank you to Stand for the Constitution folks to put this together. I'm really honored to be here tonight to address you. And secondly, thank all of you for being here. It's awesome that you're politically engaged. This is the most important time, certainly in my life. So I applaud all of you for showing up tonight. My values are God, country, and family. I'm proud to be a member of a political party where we bend the knee to the cross, where we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and put our hands over our hearts. Proud to be a member of a political party where we stand for the Constitution. I think that's really important. I'm proud to be a member of a political party that advocates for the defense of our personal property and for the defense of our family and friends. And I would not be a Republican if Republicans did not honor and nurture our Second Amendment rights. The day after Lauren Boebert announced her switch to CD4, a supporter of mine from Moffett County called and said, hey, Christy Burton Brown is interviewing people on the Dan Kaplan show who had previously announced. So why don't you call in? So I did, and they put me in the queue so I could be interviewed too. And I was listening to our interview candidates, and there were two guys that were off the hook. They were beside themselves, called Lauren every name in the book. They were so upset that she would dare to run in their district. And it dawned on me, these people have lost perspective of what being a congressional representative is. And what it's about, it's all about you. You. It's about everybody in this room. And none of us up here can lose sight of that. I think that's really important. About 70 days ago, I came up with a unity pledge. One of the candidates who's not here tonight has been endorsed by Don Quorum. Everybody here know who Don Quorum is? Okay, if you don't know, Don Quorum lost the primary to Lauren Boebert and immediately turned around and endorsed Adam Frisch. That guy has endorsed Jeff Hurd, so we asked Jeff to sign a unity pledge, and he has publicly refused to do so now for 10 weeks. And the point is this: we need to unite. Democrats have held the White House for 20 of the last 32 years. It's terrible. We need to unite behind other Republicans. So I am telling you guys tonight, if I don't win the nomination, I think I will. Everybody on this stage shares my values one way or another. We just have different ways of expressing it. I'd like to say God bless everybody in this room tonight, and God bless those protecting us and serving in the military. Thanks for showing up.
like to thank everybody for coming out tonight and thank all the candidates for taking the time to be here. As you do know, there are some candidates that didn't make it. It's unfortunate because you guys should be able to hear from every single one of us. But I'll tell you, one of the most important things about this here is that you guys have the ability to make a decision. And that decision has to be made soundly. Because we can't just fall in love, we have to start falling in line. We have to start finding candidates that can win the general. Somebody mentioned earlier that the Democrat has raised almost $9 million. We cannot afford to lose this seat to the other side. We have to make sure that we fight back, and we have to fight back hard, and we have to find the right candidate that can get behind, that can win the general election. Right now, one of the most important things that we're seeing going on in our communities is we're losing them. Our kids are being feminized in schools. We have boys that don't even want to be boys anymore. There's so much confusion that's going on out there. And we have to be aware of that, because those ever-changing things that are happening are going to ruin the future of what we're looking and fighting for. If you educate a generation, you can shape your future. And right now, we're not educating anybody. And if we're going to hold this future here and we're going to protect it, we're going to preserve it, we have to start fighting back. We have to find candidates that can win the general election and make a difference. And I want to thank every one of you guys for allowing me to speak, because it is important that you get to hear me, because the future is here in this room. This is where we start. So thank you guys. Please check out my website. It is Stephen Varela for Colorado. And please remember that the only time that we have freedom is when the government fears us. Thank you.
First of all, let's give him a hand. So we invited all of the Republicans, and these are the people that showed up, and we really appreciate that. It's a sacrifice to come. It's also difficult to stand up here while people are asking you questions, and especially if you don't know what they're going to ask you to start with. So we really appreciate you coming, and we really appreciate everybody running. We also appreciate the audience, and by this time, probably that accidentally came here would be gone. There might be one or two of you that just came for the cookies, but for the most part, you're here because you want to know and be informed. These are the patriots. These are the people that care to come and find out about the candidates. And we really appreciate that. With this knowledge, it helps us decide who we're going to vote for, but voting is not enough. If we want to take back the offices that we don't have, we've got to get involved. All of you have friends, all of you have influence that you can reach out to for the candidate of your choice. And these aren't the only races that we have. Additionally, you can work with things like the stand. One of our missions is to find conservative candidates and help get them going. We meet here every Monday at 6 o'clock, and you're always welcome to come. It's a difficult thing to run for an office. It costs money. And when you aren't an incumbent, when you don't have a bunch of money behind you, it makes it tough. If you have a candidate you want to support, you can help them in that way. They need volunteers, knocking on doors, making phone calls. I just challenge you for not only this race, but all of the races that we have, to find a candidate that you can support and do more than just vote. Reach out. Let's work hard. Let's take back our country.